each of you to today's Memorial Day ceremony. I thank you for taking time this morning to observe America's most solemn national holiday, in which we pause, remember, and honor those military members who never took off their uniforms, who gave their lives while serving in America's armed forces. I do not believe that we could have a more meaningful calling upon our time and our attention than to be together today, right now, at this spot. And by the time we adjourn, it is my hope that each of us will embrace that same sentiment in new and more meaningful ways than you have ever done before in your life. We have determined to invest our time, our hearts, and our attention into understanding and remembering a unique aspect of our country's heritage, and to be mindful of those who have served in America's armed forces and who have perished while doing so. As we clearly say this Memorial Day, gathered with family and friends, America's service members are lovingly and proudly honored by this city, and we citizens as they serve. And if they should perish while doing so, we also pledge that we will never forget them, we will actively remember them, and we will faithfully give our love, support, and thanks to their families and friends who mourn and remember their loss. This is indeed a day of remembrance and honoring, as well as a day of refreshed civic awareness, evidenced by that monument of the sacrifices many have made, of the pain of separation others experience, and of the noble resolve that survivors and friends possess and demonstrate to move forward, but never forget. Today we will dedicate the City of Fishers Gold Star Family's Memorial Monument. The plan to do so began late last year with a conversation among a few folks who had a vision and the dogged determination to make it happen. They were Mayor Scott Fadness, Councilman Brad DeReamer, and Mr. George Stavropoulos. Very public efforts to invite financial contributions from businesses and individual citizens, coupled with many personal conversations to explain and invite engagement, have been moderately successful, and they are not yet over. We want to thank a total of more than 100 individuals and businesses who so far have provided private funding for this monument. We are also grateful for a unique measure of support from Mayor Fadness so that purchasing, installation, and dedication could converge on this Memorial Day occasion. The city does so to honor those in our midst who bear the burden of loss of loved ones who died while in America's armed services, and to say thank you today and in the future to those family members. We honor you, and we will do the best we can to share your grief and be your friends in a very public way through the dedication of this monument, which complements our personal friendships. We have in the past acknowledged Blue Star families at Memorial Day ceremonies conducted behind me at Liberty Plaza. They have loved ones who were then and who are today serving in America's armed services. We do so again today and say thank you for whoever you are, who encouraged and instilled strong passions of patriotism and service to others before self, that encouraged and led to service in America's armed services. We also, in the past, have acknowledged families at Memorial Day ceremonies who have experienced the loss of loved ones while they served in America's armed services. With that loss, they became a Gold Star family, We do so today, but in a greater way than ever before, as we join numerous other communities across America and all 50 states and one territory who have determined to place one of these beautiful monuments in their midst for reasons that I will elaborate upon in a few minutes. We are always respectful of the prerogative of Gold Star families to self-identify, and we continue that practice today. In recent months, because of the intent to dedicate the City of Fishers Gold Star Families Memorial Monument, I share with great thanks that the City of Fishers and the Monument Steering Committee have been assisted by a few others in Indianapolis and at the state of Indiana level, and by the foundation from which the monument was purchased, to communicate with Gold Star families in Indiana, in the Midwest, and across this country to advise them of today's dedication. To advise them that that monument, which is their monument, belongs to them. And we have invited them all to attend. We acknowledge that there may be some sitting quietly in our midst right now without having identified yourself as a Gold Star family member. Others have let us know that they are attending today, and they are seated before us. To all present Gold Star families, we say welcome and thank you. Graves and places of interment of Americans who perished while serving in America's armed forces are located throughout this state and nation, as well as in cemeteries around the world. Today, with the dedication of the monument behind me in this most public setting, we are endeavoring to place sacrifice and the remembrance of their families in clear and well-placed civic focus, for their personal comfort and for the inspiration of everyone who will pause before this monument and consider for years to come the words and the images upon the monument's 4 panels: homeland, family, patriot, and sacrifice, and its unique design, which you all will see when we unveil it. This monument is a beautiful complement to all that is represented and inspired by Liberty Plaza, sitting at the south end of this central green. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Liberty and sacrifice. They are powerful, emotional bookends to all that we can think and feel when we sit, walk, and dwell within the presence of these monuments. With utmost respect, we hope, and indeed when Pastor McDaniel leads us in our invocation, we will pray together that this ceremony is especially comforting to the family members and friends of our deceased armed service members we honor this day, as well as to those of us who remember colleagues and friends with whom we've had the honor to serve. As you have noted by reading your program, the City of Fishers Police Honor Guard will follow Pastor McDaniel and present the colors. And Fishers resident, Navy Hospital Corpsman 2nd Class, and Silver Star recipient George Stavropoulos will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and lead us as we render appropriate honors to our nation's flag. The White River Brass Troop will then play our national anthem, during which we will again render proper honor to our nation's flag. The colors will be retired, and then we will observe a prisoner of war Missing in Action Remembrance ceremony. A little bit lighter, we were going to experience a flyby by Mr. Greg Naylor. We found out about an hour ago that he has a fuel leak. We don't want that to be a problem, but he's not going to have a flyover today. So if you were here for that, stick with it. Would everyone please rise and remain standing until the colors are retired by the Fishers Police Honor Department, Honor Guard. Thank you. Pastor McDaniel.
Let us pray. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. As we hear these words of the hymnist Isaac Watts, we are reminded that you are our rock and our fortress, and that we need to welcome you into our lives. We are reminded of the sacrifice that you have made for us. We are reminded of the men and women from the founding of this blessed nation to its present day who have suffered the loss of their lives in their serving that has won and protected our freedoms. We are reminded today of the Gold Star families who have ached and grieved, and who ache and grieve the loss of their own. In this day that our nation has set aside to remember, to remind us to always remember the cost of the freedoms that have been fought for us. Oh God, help us to live lives that are not only worthy of the ultimate sacrifices made by those in the armed services, but also help us to live lives worthy of your grace and mercy and love that you have for each of us. I pray these things in your Son's name, the Lord Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and request of all wearing hats. Please remove them to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be seated. Retired Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant Kyle Fisher, Commander of American Legion Post 470, located here in Fishers, will now conduct the Prisoner of War Missing in Action Remembrance Ceremony. Commander Fisher.
Good morning. As you enter the ceremony today, you may have noticed a small table and a place of honor. It is set for one. This table is our way of symbolizing the fact that members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them brothers and sisters. A white tablecloth to symbolize the pure intentions of the service members who responded to the country's call to arms. A single rose in the vase symbolizing the blood that service members have shed and sacrificed to ensure the freedom of the United States of America. This rose also represents the family and friends who keep the faith while awaiting the return of missing service members. The red ribbon represents the love of country that inspired the service members to serve their country. A slice of lemon on the bread plate that represents the bitter fate of the missing. Salt sprinkled on the bread plate that symbolizes the tears shed by waiting families. An inverted glass to represent the fact that the missing fallen cannot partake. A lit candle symbolizes a light of hope that lives in the hearts to illuminate the missing's way home. An empty chair to represent the absence of the missing and the fallen. A POW MIA empty chair is placed at all official ceremonies for the American Legion as a physical symbol of many American POW MIAs still unaccounted for from all wars and conflicts involving the United States of America. This is a reminder for all of us to spare no effort to secure the release of any American prisoners from captivity and the recovery of the remains of those who died bravely in defense of liberty and a full accounting for those missing. Let us rededicate ourselves to this vital endeavor. Please place the POWMI flag on the empty chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle, and thank you for your 20 years of active duty service and leadership in America's Marine Corps. This Memorial Day ceremony is a wonderful occasion for us to say thanks to others who dedicate themselves to serving this country and her citizens. We residents of Fishers are very fortunate to have a city council who collectively believe in the great value of ceremonies like this as an inspirational element of our city's character. Would all of our city's elected leaders please stand and accept our thanks for your service, advocacy, and support to bring this monument to reality. Thank you. Now, would all of Indiana's elected state and national representatives please stand and accept our gratitude for your service to our state and to our nation. Memorial Day in America has its roots in war and sacrifice. Survivors of the Civil War struggled with enormous grief, honor, and remembrance because 618,000 Americans died fighting in it, 360,000 in the North, 258,000 in the South. That unprecedented number of deaths necessitated the creation of America's first national cemeteries. On May 5, 1868, 3 years after the Civil War ended, General John A. Logan, the leader of an organization of Northern Civil War veterans called the Grand Army of the Republic, significantly called for a nationwide day of remembrance later that month to honor all of the Civil War's casualties, North and South, and to further the cause of reconciliation within our country. As was his prerogative, he declared that the 30th of May, 1868 is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. He proclaimed, "We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no neglect, no ravages of time testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic." In 1882, the occasion of Decoration Day began to be called Memorial Day. 90 years later, in 1971, by act of Congress, Memorial Day became a U.S. national holiday and it was placed on the calendar for remembrance's sake annually on the last Monday of May. In December of 2000, the National Moment of Remembrance Act was signed into law by President Clinton. Not widely known or unfortunately observed, the National Moment of Remembrance is a silent minute at 3 p.m. today, time zone by time zone, as it crosses this country. I have read that this time was chosen precisely because it is in the middle of this day's afternoon, while we are all likely actively enjoying our American freedoms throughout the land, that we pay homage to those who have given their lives for this nation that we who live may richly enjoy. In a growing volunteer movement across this country, there is called Taps Across America, in which buglers and trumpeters are encouraged to play the 24 notes of taps after observing a minute of silence in honor of those who have perished and to comfort those who grieve them who may be hearing taps played. As I said before we began, I hope you have considered setting an alarm for 2:58 this afternoon. Or men, ask your wife to remind you. When that alarm sounds in about 3.5 hours, I encourage all of us, and I'm going to be with my family and grandkids eating, and I'm going to do it, Kathy, and Ryan and Lauren, to explain to our grandkids what we are about to do by being silent. I will explain why and invite those grandkids to join us. I encourage all of us to help transfer to your loved ones, especially your impressionable children, even as adults, and grandchildren, the values of having a National Memorial Day to remember America's men and women who have died while serving in America's armed services, to support their families with fervent prayers and other gestures of unique compassion, and to give thanks for the blessings of living in this country which has been and continues to be defended and protected by men and women who consider service to others as more important than self. Remind the people around you, wherever you are, when that alarm goes off, that you love and give thanks for those who serve to preserve this amazing and fundamentally strong and admirable country and her high ideals. Mention with gratitude that there is an extraordinary investment made by all who volunteer to put their lives on the line 24/7 for their country, their families, and you and me. Point out the poppy you may be wearing as a symbol of respect and remembrance, which I'll explain more about before we adjourn. Thank you for letting me be on this soapbox. It's now my pleasure to introduce someone who served our country in World War II as a member of what has been called America's greatest generation. He is a dear friend and an amazing Fishers citizen. Sergeant Wayne Caldwell served in the U.S. Army Air Corps in the South Pacific from 1943 to 1946. A few years ago, Wayne and his wife Joan were walking by Liberty Plaza and came upon the preparations for that morning's Memorial Day ceremony. They introduced themselves, said they were going to have a seat as spectators, and Wayne volunteered to do whatever he could to contribute to that ceremony. And boy, did he ever contribute then, and faithfully every year since then when we have had this ceremony. Wayne is 97 years young, and he and Joan celebrate their 75th wedding anniversary next week on June 6th. And right now, Wayne is going to sing Native Land. Later, he will help us conclude our ceremony when he'll lead us in the singing of God Bless America. Sergeant Caldwell, front and center. It's a pleasure to do this again with you, sir. Say something so we know we got good audio here.
Thank you, Commander L.
Okay, that works.
And I address Mayor Fadness and all the other notables that make up the inner core of the city of Fishers. It's always good to be here on an occasion like this. Memorial Day is special because we remember those who gave their lives that we might be here, and that we are alive because they are not alive. I am so happy today that the poem Native Land enables us to be patriotic and to call in mind our love for our country. It is a poem taken from a larger poem written by Walter Scott, and he is, of course, talking about his native land, but we are here at this native land. And those who gave their lives, also 16 million younger people, men and women, were in World War II. World War II started 80 years ago when our president and the Congress told Germany and Japan we weren't going to take it lying down. And so we were starting at that very time, the beginning of WW2. 75 years ago, World War II was over, when the atomic bomb was dropped on Japan. Those of us who were around at that time will never forget that. And may I suggest that if there's anyone here, and there's very possibly those who are past 80 years of age, it's possible you were in World War II. If there's anyone like that, I reach out to you with a hand of love, because we are the fortunate ones who were able, if we were overseas, to come home alive. Those that I served with
so many of them did not come home alive. They may have come home, but they were not alive. I am so glad today that my life was spared, and I believe it was because of the great hand of our Lord who did that for me. And I'm here today, and I love to be here, just like all of you love to be citizens of this great nation. Native land evokes patriotism and also the love of country. I'm going to suggest that if you have a family member, a loved one, a neighbor, a friend, or whoever it was that gave their life, I'm suggesting that as you hear the words of Native Land and also the lyrics from music that you will hear, that you breathe a prayer of thanks for those who gave their lives that we might be here today. The ones you know especially. Name them in prayer. Native land. Bless the Lord. Breathe there the man who lives so dead that all his life he has not but been dead. Breathe there that man with soul so dead, who never to himself has said, "This is my own, my lady, my native land," whose heart hath ne'er within him burned as home. His footsteps he has turned from wandering on a foreign strand. If such there breeze, go mark him well. For him no minstrel raptures swell. High though his title, proud his name, boundless his wealth, as wish can claim. Despite those titles, power and pelf, the wretch, concentrated all in self, living shall forfeit fair renown, and doubly dying shall go down to the vile dust from which he sprang, unwept, unhonored, and unsung. Each day I'll do a golden deed by helping those who are in need. My life is but a small span. I will do the best I can. To be a child of God each day, my life must shine for all it may. I'll sing his praise while ages roll. Let's try to help some struggling soul. The only life that will remain. The only life that will endure is one that's great and good and pure. We sing our praise for that dear one, and I will give my home to thee. Life's evening sun is sinking low. A few more days and I must go to give my life for others. the sun is setting in the west.
We're just getting started. Thank you, Wayne. We look forward to having you close us with God Bless America before the day's end. Joan, take good care of him for a minute, okay? Before introducing today's guest speaker, I would like to note that today, 0.6% of America's population wear the uniforms of our armed services. A total uniform of 2,154,000 out of a population of almost 330. 2,154,000 of almost 330 million people. I'm sure that we would agree that this is a tremendous burden, willingly borne by a disproportionately small number of volunteers for so many, the rest of us. With 100% respect for all decisions about personal disclosure, I invite those in our midst right now, and Elliot Holgren, I'm pointing at you, who are serving now on active duty in America's armed services or who are in America's reserve forces, to stand, be recognized, and be thanked for your service. While they are standing, would any family members of those who are currently serving, regardless of whether your service member is here or somewhere else, please stand as well so that we can thank them and you for their service as we say thanks. Please stand. I have no idea where that sheet of paper went. God bless you. Why did I use the clip? Doug, I'm about to introduce you. I needed this, man. Our guest speaker, Chaplain Colonel Doug Hedrick, U.S. Army Reserves, is a tremendous personal friend, a great American, and a true citizen soldier. He currently serves as the command chaplain for the Army Reserve Aviation Command based at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Chaplain Hedrick and his wife Allie serve in Lawrence, or live in Lawrence, and locally he serves on the board of directors for Hoosier Veterans Assistance Foundation, which works to end homelessness among veterans in central Indiana. Doug, we've been talking about this. The floor is yours, sir.
I tried to get out of the doorway several years ago, but he was so persistent, and I had to shake his hand. We've been good friends ever since. So, thank you all for coming today, and good morning. It's an honor to be with you. Thank you, Elle, for the always warm and friendly introductions. Mayor Fadness, thank you. City officials for giving me this opportunity to share a few thoughts with you. As we gather to recognize, honor, and pay tribute to our Gold Star families and those who have died in our nation's wars. Before us, we witness this exciting growth, the prosperity and the opportunities the city has to offer. We were joking just a few minutes ago, I wonder who has more roundabouts, the city of Fishers or the Carmel? Now I know how many the city of Fishers actually has. So it's important to remember that we get to enjoy all this today as a country, as a state, as a city, due to the sacrifice of our fellow citizens who did not go into battle listen to me when I say this, who did not go into battle preoccupied with our differences, but looked to something better, something more powerful, something that could unify us around a shared idea, an ideal, a way of life, that our freedom, our life, our liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was worth putting themselves in harm's way. So let me go forward and further and share a little history with you, if you don't mind. The Continental Congress established chaplains as an integral part of the Army of the United States on July 29, 1775, thanks in large part to the influence of General George Washington. Chaplains have served in significant numbers from the Revolutionary War to the present day, and chaplains play an important role in the religious, the moral, and the spiritual health of our military. By statute, chaplains help safeguard the free exercise of religion for all service members. There are close to around 3,000 chaplains currently serving today, including myself. I often say we are agents of hope in an often dark and a very dangerous world. So let me progress from there. So what's often lost in these type of events is the human element. And in my position, in my experience, for just a couple of minutes, I'm going to give them a voice and honor their sacrifice. They very well may have something to share with you. A typical hot day, busy, and we heard our typical incoming mortar alarms going off, reminding us that we were not in the good US of A. We had gone down for the night expecting to wake early and get started for another day. At 2 in the morning, we were woken up to a very loud commotion, and all I was thinking of, take cover, we were under attack. I rushed out to investigate, and I was surprised to see a group of young soldiers covered in sweat, exhausted, being assisted by a few other soldiers from my team, doing CPR on a female soldier who had been hit by an IED. They were on a patrolling mission down the very busy and very dangerous streets of Baghdad, Iraq. After failed attempts to get her heart going, we rushed her to the Army hospital just a couple miles away. There, the medical team went quickly to work. One of her legs had been severed, and the other one was hanging on by just a little bit of skin. She had lost a lot of blood. Her body had been devastated by the blast. As they were doing their work to try and save her life, I'll never forget the voices of the soldiers who were sitting right outside that surgery room. They were angry. They were crying. They were praying. They were yelling out for her just to make it. I went between both rooms trying my best to console both groups. And despite unfortunate best efforts, she didn't make it. And to this day, I can still see the image of her ring finger, which had a gold band placed on it during a wedding ceremony just a few months before. On another occasion, a soldier had been mortally wounded during a battle, and he called for his chaplain to administer last rites. The chaplain sat beside him, holding his head upright, while the soldier had enough energy to ask the chaplain for a favor. And you know what he said? Tell my family that I love them. And I did my job. On another occasion, it was a normal busy day for this military family to try to keep everything moving forward while their loved one was away. He had been in the Middle East for a few months, and he was able to provide a few updates on occasion. They had recently got back from the store, and they were putting everything away, when the spouse just happened to walk by that living room and notices a couple cars pulling up in the parking lot. She pulls back the curtain to see that one of those in uniform, making their way to the front door, was a chaplain. she falls to her knees, screams out in pain, and with raw emotion. She realized at that point her spouse had just died in the service to their country, and she was being notified. And also trying to be brave, they were doing their best to hold back tears, embracing for the one last time. The kids didn't quite understand the significance of the occasion, but they knew it was serious. What they always had known as safe and secure was about ready to be torn apart, and they were wondering if they would ever be the same again. And this was the final goodbye. They could only hope that with such a long separation, it was all going to be worth it. These stories, their voices, and I have a lot more to share, don't have the time, but they have a lot to say to us today and carry a weight of extreme significance that determine and will determine the future of this great country. And I would be amiss as a chaplain and a pastor to also offer what the Bible says, a couple of relevant truths that speak to us today. To those much is given, much is required. And one more truth says, there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. So in closing, the question I have for us today is, what will we do with these voices? What can we learn from them? I might offer a couple ideas. One, be grateful. We don't hear this enough. We live in the best country on this planet. I had a South Korean former Marine. I met him actually recently. It's interesting the timing of that. And he was in his previous assignment, he was the one that had to do patrols on the border between South Korea and North Korea. It's about 2 kilometers. And there's a river that separates this part of it. And often, actually, not that often because of the ramifications, but if the North Koreans ever tried to get away and secretly get over to the other side, they'd have to go through this body of water and try to swim to the other side. Well, the order from the North Koreans was, no mercy, you kill at all costs. And they had, unfortunately, in his previous assignment, on many occasions, he would be one of the ones that had to dig or retrieve these dead bodies floating to the other side as they sought their freedom. Well, he eventually got out of the Marines for the South Korean military, and he made his way to America. You know why? Because he loved and he heard about this country, and he believed in what we were doing. And today, he's a United States Army chaplain. Second, share your voice. Now, no slide to the service organizations, Legion, and everything else. It's great. They do a great thing. But as a young guy in middle ages, I avoided getting involved because I had this thought and perception that all they did, and most of them did, all they sat around drinking beer, had a little bite to eat, and shared about their former stories about how great they were and all the great things they did. Much of that is true, but I have found they do a lot of great things. But I would encourage all of you, based on your history and your past, is not just tell your stories inside of buildings, but share your stories of love and duty and commitment and sacrifice to our next generation. What has defined us as a country and what will hopefully define us in our future. We need people, those who are sitting in the audience, Gold Star families. We need everyone to share your voice of what a special gift we truly have. And finally, get involved. Ronald Reagan once said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, it must be protected, and it must be handed on to them to do the same. Remember, the average lifespan of the greatest civilizations that we have known and studied is 250 years. Does anyone know what America is today? How old? 244. There's a lot of voices out there, as I said before, telling how bad we are, how many problems we have, and there are always ways to improve. But I'm telling you here, if we want to see the freedom that we've enjoyed, the life of liberty and the pursuit of happiness continue, we cannot be silent. We have to get involved, and we have to stand for what is right. So, lastly, I'll say, the voices of those who have passed, the voices that we mentioned in World War II and many others that are now in the grave, they're still speaking, and they're speaking to us. The question you have to ask yourself, as you have your barbecues later, you have your celebration, your time of great, time with family, which is great, but we can't sit back any longer. We have to get involved, we have to share our voice, be grateful, because those voices need to be continued. And it's up to us to lend our voices for the future of this great country. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Doug, how many kids do you have? How long have you and Allie been married? Oh, whoa, quicker than that. Okay. Where are you, Allie? Hi, kids. Hi, Allie. You'll have every reason to be very proud of your husband and dad today. Right on? Right on. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of the City of Fishers, the Honorable Scott Fadness. Mayor Fadness, thank you for your faithful encouragement, diligent leadership, and invaluable support of today's ceremony, and for your unique and tremendous help to make this Gold Star Families Memorial Monument dedication possible.
Thank you, Al. As always, thank you to your commitment to building this character in our community. I'll keep my remarks brief because, frankly, there isn't an individual up here today that isn't more distinguished than myself. So I want to say a few things on behalf of the City of Fishers. First and foremost, thank you all for being here. It's so rewarding to see so many people come out and bear witness to those who have given so much for our community and for our country. I also want to thank the folks that made this a reality. Councilmember Brad Dreamer, and George, when you guys took me to coffee and said we need to get this done, you guys weren't joking, you got it done. Thank you so much for making this a reality today. It's a wonderful opportunity. I also want to thank the Department of Public Works. Those folks worked diligently to place the monument that you see here. And I want to thank the Communications Department for all their work in putting on this event. And I just want to share a quick insight, if I could. When I was a younger guy, a little more hair, I was the smartest guy around. All you had to do was ask me. But as I've gotten older, I realize I'm not that smart, but I'm gaining a little bit of wisdom as you go through life experiences. And I was thinking about today, and I was thinking about this monument, and what came to realization for me was I'm a father. I'm a father of 3 little boys. And we've talked a lot at these Memorial Days about sacrifice and honor and bravery. But I don't know that I really understood what sacrifice meant until what I realized what it would be like to lose a child in the defense of our country. The enormity of that loss is something that's scarcely able to be comprehended. And so I'm so grateful for all the people that were willing to donate funds to create this, so that any family who has lost someone in defense of our country knows that in Fishers, we take care of our own. In Fishers, we make sure that they've never been forgotten, they never will be forgotten, and that they'll always have a place here in our community. So, again, thank you all for being here today. Know that each and every year, we will be here. We will continue to celebrate those who have sacrificed so much, and I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Fadness. As I said at the beginning of this ceremony last October, a conversation between Councilman Dreamer, Silver Star recipient Stavropoulos, and Mayor Fadness determined that mutual enthusiasm and commitment existed for the City of Fishers to have a Gold Star Family Memorial Monument. to be designed, purchased, and placed right here on this north end of the Central Green. A steering committee was created, and the design and the fundraising work began. As the mayor said, invaluable to the local work was the Public Works Department of the City of Fishers, who prepared the site by installing a very deep and rather large foundation upon which the monument sits, and installed the lighting which illuminate the monument. You've got to see it at night. Mayor, I'm going to one-up you here. I'm going to ask that all members of the steering committee, the Public Works Department, and the city staff who helped to plan and create this ceremony and shepherd thousands of details, please stand up so that we can give you a round of applause for making this happen. Thank you. Councilman DeReamer had established contact years ago with the Woody Williams Foundation in Louisville, Kentucky. The foundation, founded by United States Marine and World War II Medal of Honor recipient Herschel Woody Williams, has as its mission to honor, recognize, and serve Gold Star families and the legacy of their loved ones who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. In the words of the foundation's founder, and spoken by him on the foundation's website with great humility, quote, "The monuments are places where Gold Star families can go to meditate, to honor, to remember their loved one, and to be assured that their loved ones will never be forgotten. Those who never came home are American heroes because they gave their lives for this country and for us." As of today, 82 monuments like the one we dedicate have been installed, and 77 more are in progress, with at least one in each state of the United States and one territory. Most recently, locally, on May 1st, another monument, similar in design to this one, was dedicated on the northeast corner of the Indiana World War Memorial Plaza downtown. I encourage everyone to visit it as well when next enjoying the beauty of that Memorial Plaza downtown. The foundation's founder, Woody Williams, developed the mission and goals for honoring Gold Star families based upon 5 philosophical pillars, including homeland, family, patriot, sacrifice, and legacy. As you will note on the back of your program, the City of Fishers continues to seek public contributions to completely fund this monument with private donations. So I encourage all of you to help us wrap up this tax-deductible public funding of it. Thank you again. I now invite a friend and fellow resident of Fishers, Paul Eisterhold, to come forward and begin the monument dedication portion of today's ceremony with a reading of a poem entitled "What Heroes Gave," written by U.S. Army Sergeant Richard Robichaux. Paul?
Each donned their uniform to be defenders of our liberty, their mission sure, their spirits bright, guarded freedom's home to be brave to fight. One final day, each faced their call, each gave their best, enduring all. We'll never know what they went through, but know they loved this country true. Deep down inside, we should all feel what heroes gave, their cost so real. We must stay thankful, grateful of the gift of freedom through their love. Their loved ones bore the gravest pain, what we can't know, some now sustain. To God I pray, their pain will cease, and each will find long-lasting peace. Remember this from year to year, what heroes gave shan't disappear. We'll never let their special day their time for honor slip away. These brave fought for a nation free. If not for them, where would we be?
It's now my pleasure to invite Noreen Nowak, a Gold Star mom, to share her thoughts with us. Noreen?
I'm actually a Gold Star aunt. November 8, 2004, my beloved nephew, Robert Paul Warrens II, made the ultimate sacrifice and gave his life for our country. Bobby was serving in the Marine Corps 224, Marine Company 224 in Babel Province, Iraq, when the Humvee that he and 5 of his comrades were traveling in was destroyed by an IED. 5 of the 6 Marines were killed instantly, and 1 Marine was thrown from the vehicle and survived. The photos of the twisted, burned-out wreckage haunt me to this day. We were told that none of the Marines who perished suffered as the blast was sudden and profound. In that moment, our family became members of a club to which nobody wants to belong. We became a Gold Star family. When your soldier deploys into, when a family member joins the military, the whole family joins the military. When your soldier deploys to combat, the whole family deploys to combat. When your brave soldier dies in battle, a bit of all of the family dies in battle as well. The grief of such a loss is indescribable. While time has softened the wrenching sadness, there are times, and this weekend each year is one of those times, when the grief is as fresh as it was over 16 years ago. I am deeply blessed to come from a large Irish Catholic family on the south side of Chicago. Our motto is and always has been, just show up. I'm thankful to say that this experience has only brought us closer. We find Bobby in the moments both tender and amusing. He is always there to remind us of his love and to not take ourselves so seriously. His beautiful daughter Peyton is a heaven-sent reminder of his crooked smile, mischievous nature, and tender heart. Each year, to honor Bobby and his fallen comrades, we usually gather at the home of my sister and brother-in-law, Bob and Bridget Warrens, Bobby's parents, in Wisconsin on Memorial Day weekend. This year, I am honored to stay in Fishers to be a part of the dedication of the Gold Star Family Memorial. My family has asked me to share with you their deep gratitude for remembering Gold Star families. We are not alone in this experience and appreciate being honored and remembered along with a multitude of Gold Star families. It is healing to be here today. Sharing Bobby and my family to all present, I am reminded of a quote. I love the light as it shows me the way. I endure the darkness as it shows me the stars. Thank you all for being a guiding light and shining stars, as well as bright stars, not only for me and my family, but for all Gold Star family who endure the darkness of such a loss. I am proud, beyond measure, that the good people of Fishers have dedicated themselves not only to remembering our brave fallen heroes, but also their families. May all who visit this memorial be comforted by its presence. God bless you all, and God bless our country.
Thank you, Noreen. Mrs. Lisa McClellan, a Gold Star mom, was going to join us today with her husband and family, but was recently diagnosed with a medical condition that prohibited her participation in their attendance. I'll read Lisa's remarks that she and her husband Ron provided to me. Thank you for allowing our family the honor to speak to other Gold Star families today. We all have great memories of our loved one. We all will never forget our loved ones, where they were as well as where we were when we found out about our loss. For new Gold Star families, let us be honest. The pain never goes away. We just learn how to go on. We must honor our loved ones by being strong and going on to tell their stories so people will never forget. We want to say thank you to our veterans, their families, and our fallen loved ones for your sacrifices. We will never forget any of you. And she quotes, "No greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends," John 15:16. Thank you to all who helped make this monument possible for our loved ones. We will never forget. Signed, Lisa and Ron McClellan. It's now my pleasure to introduce Brigadier General Timothy J. Winslow, Director of the Joint Staff for the Indiana National Guard. In this capacity, General Winslow is the Principal Senior Staff Officer and Policy Advisory on Army Air and Joint Matters for Indiana's 59th Adjutant General, Brigadier General R. Dale Lyles. General Winslow.
Well, good morning, Mayor, distinguished guests, and Gold Star families. Thanks for the honor to be here. I'll say I'm a little embarrassed right off. I'm nowhere near 97 years old, but I still need some notes. So I've got some work to do yet. Maybe I've got a couple of years to catch up with you. So on each event that I'm accustomed to these days, promotions and ceremonies, I always start with the opportunity to thank the families. And those who have served know that you can't do it without the family. There's just no way. The time away from home and the commitment that it takes the entire family to do that. And we all know inevitably that when you're away doing those things, it's the car that breaks down, the refrigerator stops working, an event happens, and it's the extended family that addresses that and takes care of it. So as we find ourselves here today for the Gold Star families, we can look at Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and we know sometimes the public confuses the two, and they all mean well, and they say great things for all the right purposes. And as many people have already stated today, this is about our fallen heroes, and specifically here at this event today for the Gold Star families. I'd like to give you a little example of how well-intended issues come around. So as I go home this afternoon, I will probably stop at the gas station, and somebody will say, "Thank you for your service." And that's because I'll be in uniform. And they'll be able to see, and it's an overt gesture on their part because I'm wearing a uniform. They all mean the same thing, whether it's Veterans Day or Memorial Day. And they all mean also the sacrifice for the Gold Star families. But because the families don't wear a uniform, sometimes that's missed. So today, as we're here for this wonderful monument, it's a way to bridge that gap from the one day a year, or when somebody's in uniform, to be able to come out here and see this and say, "Thanks for your sacrifice." So, I'll share with you, as I'm a big baby up here trying to articulate this a little bit, but every time I hear thank you for your service, a little bit of that goes to each and every one of you.
Thank you, General. I now invite Mayor Fadness, Councilman DeReamer, Silver Star recipient Stavropoulos, United States Marine Corps Reserve Staff Sergeant Alex Nart, who is the Director of Programs for the Woody Williams Foundation, and Mrs. Noreen Nowak to come forward and please unveil the City of Fishers Gold Star Families Memorial. Throw it over the back.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't leave. Mayor Fadness will now place a commemorative wreath, after which I will invite all seated Gold Star family members to come forward and place a remembrance flower at the base of the monument. Chaplain McDaniel and Colonel Hedrick, will you both please join Mayor Fadness, Councilman DeReamer, Mr. Stavropoulos, and Mr. Nart with the Gold Star family members at the monument and remain with them as we celebrate this unveiling. Please come forward. Mayor, you do the wreath first. Now, would our most distinguished guests, our Gold Star families, please come forward and take your time. This is for you. Please come forward. I said 5 concept expressed on this monument. Before you all leave, and there's no hurry, I invite you to take a look at the back side of this. Every monument that is placed around the country has a back side that reflects the community in which it is placed. There's a homeland panel that you will want to see. There's a family panel that you'll want to see. And patriot and sacrifice. This morning, it's here at 6:15, we were doing a few television interviews with local media. Katie said, "Where's the 5th concept?" I said, "It's legacy. It's represented by the loss of the service member who's not here. That's what the cutout is for in the monument." Took her breath away.